This is Business Roundup, where we make business your business. The government going after Philippine offshore gaming operators that fail to pay taxes. The Finance Department is tapping the Bureau of Internal Revenue to lead a joint task force to crack down on tax cheats. Our Chrissy Dimatulak reports.
The government is eyeing to collect around 2 billion pesos from Philippine offshore gaming operators or POGOs. This is according to Bureau of Internal Revenue Deputy Commissioner Arnel Gobalia, who says a joint task force will be formed soon to crack down on POGOs which are not paying their taxes.
It is unfair for tayo. We are the citizens here. In our work, nagbabayad tayo ng tax. Samantalang other people here are coming and they are working here and earning income and they are not paying the taxes. So that is the basic the objective of in running after these Chinese nationals.
The Department of Finance earlier ordered the BIR to go after erring POGO employers who failed to remit appropriate withholding taxes from their workers. According to DOF, some POGO companies were unable to remit around 21.62 billion pesos worth of taxes since 2017. Gobalia says the task force will be primarily composed of the Bureau of Immigration, National Bureau of Investigation, Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation, and the Department of Labor and Employment. DOLE data reveals that there are around 60 licensed POGOs in the country with about 84,000 workers. According to DOLE Bureau of Local Employment Director Dominic Tutay, there are still around 6,000 Chinese workers without proper permits. The names of these employees were given to the Bureau of Immigration last month.
We found out more than 8,000 foreign nationals without the necessary permits from the immigration and also from the Department of Labor and Employment. And after giving them some time to comply, may natira pong around 6,600 foreign nationals who did not comply at all. So we provided the list to the Bureau of Immigration.
According to the Bureau of Immigration, they will not process the working permits of these workers without the company's license from PAGCOR, an alien employment permit from the Labor Department, and a taxpayer identification number from the BIR. POGO workers without proper documents will face sanctions from government.
Considering na undocumented sila, they will be deported and they will be included in the blacklist para hindi na sila makabalik.
BIR's Gobalia says the task force will start its crackdown this week after their first meeting on Wednesday. Meantime, PAGCOR is backing the Finance Department's directive. PAGCOR Chair and CEO Andrea Domingo says they have already issued letters to all POGO operators and service providers to abide by the law. Chrissy Dimatulak, CNN Philippines.
A property consulting firm reports POGOs have surpassed the business process outsourcing sector as the top demand driver for office space. Online casinos have driven 34% or nearly 390,000 square meters of office demand nationwide. This is higher than the 355,000 square meters sought by outsourcing hubs. Lee Chu Property Consultants says Metro Manila's POGOs have been aggressively expanding, doubling their uptake despite issues hounding the industry. Since 2016, POGOs occupy key Metro Manila areas such as Bay City, Makati, Alabang, Cavite, and Quezon City. Metro Cebu trails in the list, followed by Pampanga, Davao, and Batangas. But in late August, the government suspended the acceptance and processing of new applications for POGOs. China has also suggested to the Philippines a prohibition on POGO activities entirely, although the Duterte administration does not seem interested in such a ban. It's all systems go for San Miguel Corporation's new prestige project. It will soon begin the construction of the new Manila International Airport in Bulacan Town, Bulacan Province. During the contract signing with transport officials, the diversified conglomerate also took time to address critics' environmental concerns. Our Makoy Popioco tells us more in this report.
The deal has been sealed and construction may begin as early as the year end. San Miguel Corporation President and COO Ramon Ang is all smiles while signing the contract for the development of a sprawling aeropolis in Bulacan Town, Bulacan Province, the country's most meaningful project. Ang calls the new airport, poised as the country's biggest and most modern international gateway. San Miguel addressed a number of concerns on the massive development project. Some parts of Bulacan Town are regularly flooded during the rainy season, and some critics are worried the development may worsen flooding in the area.
Itong Bulacan Airport nito, isosolve pa natin at the same time ang baha sa Bulacan. Ang sabi ng master planner, yun daw harapan ng Bulacan Airport nito, may at least 150 million cubic meter of garbage. Yun po ang kailangan unang alisin. Pag naalis po yun, mawawala na ng baha ang Bulacan.
Last month, CNN Philippines was given exclusive access to the swampy sitios of Barangay Taliptip in Bulacan, where the 2-hectare airport complex will be built. Over 300 families, mostly composed of fish pond workers, will have to be relocated.
Willing kami, pero dapat nasa maayos na pamumuhay din ang paglilipatan namin. At ayaw namin sa ibang lugar. Gusto din namin dito sa Taliptip.
Pag nag-relocate po kami ng tao, binibigyan namin ng lupa. Binibigyan ho namin ng pera pang tayo ng bahay. At binibigyan ho namin sila ng kabuhayan. At yung mga anak nila, tinutulungan namin makapag-aral.
Now, residents are hoping San Miguel would fulfill its promises. San Miguel is shouldering all construction cost of the new airport, seen as among the solutions to decongesting Metro Manila.
Pagkat kung meron ng Bulacan Airport, meron pang Naiya Airport, kung meron pang Clark, let it be a battle of commercial competitiveness. And if it becomes a battle of commercial competitiveness, who benefits? It is the riding public.
It will have 4 parallel runways, a design that would allow speedier airline movement to avoid congestion. All these will all be finished within 5 years, according to Ang. For faster passenger transit, the airport development also includes a train line and at least 5 airport tollways to Metro Manila.
This will really benefit our people and it will create a lot of business opportunity for Filipino. And also it will bring in so much foreign tourists.
Makoy Popioko, CNN Philippines.
Marikina City Mayor Marcy Teodoro is offering a 200,000 peso reward to anyone who could inform authorities on those responsible for dumping 58 dead pigs in Marikina River last week. Some reports imply that the pig carcasses, which showed signs of some dreaded disease affecting hogs, could have come from backyard piggeries in communities along the Marikina River. The mayor says the culprits who violated the Clean Water Act and sanitation law will face criminal and civil charges. The local government will also file a writ of kalikasan before the Marikina Regional Trial Court. And when Business Roundup returns, as the government works to change the country's tax system in the coming years, what does this mean for businessmen and everyday Filipinos? We'll get some insights from Tax Management Association of the Philippines President, Lea Roque, later on in the show. Keep it here on CNN Philippines. welcome back. Overseas Filipino workers sent more money to their families back home in July. Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas data showed remittances surged to nearly $2.9 billion, up 7.2% from a year ago. Remittance in January to July totaled $19 billion, higher by 3.6% from the same period last year. OFWs with long-term contracts account for the bulk of the money transfers. Filipinos working in the United States contributed more than a third of the sum, followed by those employed in Saudi Arabia, Singapore, United Arab Emirates, and the United Kingdom. Filipino families and businesses are more optimistic about prospects in the remaining months of 2019. They see the upcoming holiday season lifting personal incomes and company sales. The central bank's latest survey of consumer and business expectations show anticipation of better days ahead. Households say they are seeing more jobs available, better incomes, and stable prices of goods coming with the Christmas cheer. Companies, meanwhile, are expecting more orders as consumer demand surges during the holidays, with both inflation and interest rates easing over the past few months. And the House of Representatives has just passed the Corporate Income Tax and Rationalization Act, or CITIRA bill. Its fate in the Senate, however, remains hanging in the balance. The different departments and sectors are polarized on the issue. So generally, how is the government doing so far in reforming the country's tax system? And how are tax reforms being felt by Filipinos and businesses? To share with us her insight is the president of Tax Management Association of the Philippines. She's also from Punong Bayan and Arroyo firm, Attorney Lea Roque. Ma'am, thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon.
Well, as you know, the CITIRA bill was currently passed, at least at the lower house.
Yeah.
The bill cuts corporate income tax from 30 to 20% by 2029 and rationalizes tax incentives, again, making it more targeted and time-bound. Now, who does this benefit? Business owners, the Filipino worker, the foreign investor?
Yeah, so primarily it would be the businesses, no? Because the one of the main reform will be the lowering of the corporate income tax. So right now, corporations are paying 30%. So with a slash of 10%, making their corporate income tax at 20%, then that's a huge impact on their bottom line, no? So local businesses are targeted, so we're thinking that a lot of the local businesses would be affected by this, making them grow faster.
See, a lot of local businesses are going to be affected. Now, does the cutting of the corporate income tax make us competitive enough? Is it good enough an incentive? My understanding is a lot of neighboring countries of Vietnam, I think, comes to mind,
Yes.
are already at 20% today.
Correct. Actually, it's one of the things that we're telling the government. They're saying that the corporate income tax will be cut to 20%, but we have to wait like 10 years for that. Right. So we're saying right now we need it. If you look at our ASEAN neighbors, most of the average rates would be somewhere between 22%. So we're really far behind 22% at 30%. So it affects the businesses here in the Philippines and also the investments that are coming here. So, but the thing is, we can't do it in one go, no? So we have to be ready for it, and that's why we have to wait for 10 years before it becomes 20%.
So something we need, but ideally sooner, but not something you think we can do right away. What about the FDIs, which I think you started touching on? Recent reports show a slowdown in FDIs,
Correct.
which suggests a number of foreign companies are really in a wait-and-see mode, with the rationalization of tax perks being one of those things in there. You know, how do you see this CITIRA bill impacting FDIs?
Right now, we see a lot of foreign chambers saying that we have to really study the effect of the CITIRA on the foreign investments. They were used to having a lot of incentives, and those incentives are really very low taxes, and what the government is saying, forever incentives. So right now, the plan is to have the incentives time-bound, and the rates will be higher. So I think the lowering of the FDIs right now is an effect of these investors waiting, because, you know, foreign investors, they can't come in without any certainty. So they really have to know what will be the final version of this law and how will it affect them.
Well, assuming that is close to the final version, does that therefore be viewed as negative for foreign investors?
Well, if you just look at the tax rates, The current tax rates we have right now is after the income tax holiday, they pay the 5% gross income tax. If you look at the CITIRA, that will be around 18 to 13% of net income tax. So from 5 to 18 to 13, that's a huge, if you're just looking at that rate, then that's a huge difference. But as I said, and even the DOF is saying, it's not just the tax rates that the foreign investors are looking. So if we deliver on all the other expectations, then we can expect some of the foreign investors to really come in still, even with the rationalization of our incentives.
Well, if we look at the whole bill, the bill as a whole, does that result, in your view, into more jobs, less jobs, more or less revenue for government?
Ano kasi siya, carrot and stick, no? We see the lowering of the corporate income tax for most of the corporations. So if they have lower income tax, then we're saying they will grow bigger faster. So that would mean more jobs. But then on the other side, there's a little bit of uncertainty when it comes to the foreign investors who are going here because of the incentives. The incentives will change. It may take a little time getting used to, but eventually, with all the changes that the government is promising, the build, and all the infrastructure that they're saying, and of course, we have our own labor force, which is, we're very proud of our labor force. So we're thinking that in the long run, then we'll be able to catch up and get more foreign investments as well.
All right. Well, let me shift a little bit to the tax measure that was passed last year, the train law. Your assessment of that since its implementation, has that been beneficial for most Filipinos or just a few who actually pay income taxes? What's your thought?
Again, with that train law, there's a bit of a carrot and stick also there. But if you just look at the workers, no, the salaried workers, then we really see a lot of benefits that the employees are getting from the train one, no? Because right away from the train one, the employees were exempted from paying income tax on their first 250,000 salary. So right away, that's a benefit for them.
All right, last question for you. What about the general tax amnesty provision, which I believe was vetoed in the train? Your take on that, where do you see that going, or what would you want to happen with that?
From the taxpayer's point of view, a lot of people are really hoping that we can still have the general tax amnesty. It's really important, especially when we're going through this tax reform, that the taxpayers will be given a clean slate. So we're still hoping, but right now, we're not seeing a lot of discussions about it, but hopefully after they pass the CITIRA and PIFITA and other tax reform packages, then we'll go back to the general tax amnesty.
All right. Well, thank you very much for those insights. That was TIMA President Lea Roque joining us on the show. And coming up, a diversified conglomerate is on a course to make a better world in the nation's capital. More of this story when we return. Keep it here on CNN Philippines.
The Red Charity Gala is an annual
welcome back. Here's a rundown of this week's top corporate stories. Jollibee Foods Corporation is gearing up for its expansion plans in the United States and China. The fast food giant has revealed plans of speeding up the growth of its foreign businesses, hoping to establish both countries and the Philippines as its growth pillars in the next 10 years. JFC acquired US-based food chains Smashburger and Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf in 2018 and 2019. Power generation company Finma Energy is now known as AC Energy PH. The renaming comes after Ayala-led unit AC Energy's successful acquisition of the company. AC Energy PH, in a statement, confirms it will spend about 2 billion pesos on projects that will generate 2,000 megawatts of renewable energy by 2025. That's equivalent to powering up more than 320,000 households. Philippine Airlines receives a 4-star major airline rating from a US-based air travel organization. This is the flag carrier's second award from the Airline Passenger Experience Association, or APEX. It received the 4-star major regional airline rating last year. Philippine Airlines' latest rating comes from a survey APEX conducted with 1.4 million airline customers from July 2018 to July 2019. And before we go, poverty, malnutrition, hunger, and disease, these are the problems facing this country of more than 100 million people. But many have responded to help solve these issues. Among them, a foundation set up by one of the biggest conglomerates, which has launched a community center, a lifeline to the people of Tondo, Manila. Our Sandra Shalsita tells us more.
This is the reality for children in many parts of the world, including here in the Philippines. A third of Filipino children are stunted, meaning they're short for their age. Another 95 Filipino children die every single day. The reason? Malnutrition. Many of these children are here in Tondo, Manila, one of the poorest districts in the country. Their living conditions and their numbers are alarming, but there's hope. 3 Manileños came together to show that change is possible when people unite towards a common goal.
Hindi lang kailangan gobyerno ang tutulong sa kanyang kapwa o sa kanyang nasasakupan o sa kanyang kapitbahay. Pati mga pribadong sektor.
While there's widespread hunger, poverty, and malnutrition, there's also so much food that goes to waste. Enough food to instead be served to those in need. San Miguel Foundation is taking a big step to reduce both food waste and hunger through this new community center, a food bank and a learning institution in one.
Pag pumunta rito yung bata, may ongoing television na pinapakita, educational, kung ano ang pwede nilang pangarap, makain din sila mabuti para maging malusog sila.
The concept is the first of its kind in the Philippines. SMC Foundation has partnered with Rise Against Hunger and AHA Learning to bring the idea to life. SMC President and COO Ramon Ang says there's so much more that can be done through collaboration among other companies, organizations, as well as with the government.
Batang Tondo ako, ibinabalik ko naman dito sa lugar na kung saan ako nanggaling.
And this is just the beginning. The center is expected to serve at least 1 million meals every year for the next 10 years. But there's more to the center than putting food on the table. It's about turning people's lives around. Sandra Shalsita, CNN Philippines.
That's the bottom line. I'm Michael Limurong. Thanks for watching. This is Roundup.
Whatever the sport, whatever the task, teamwork is